I still remember the day I held my son, Daniel, for the first time. He was so small, so fragile, and I promised myself that I would do everything in my power to give him a good life. Being a single mother wasn't easy, but I never complained. My husband had passed away when Daniel was just a baby, leaving me alone in this world. I had no family to support me, no one to help raise my child. But I had my love for him, and that was enough. I worked as a school teacher for over 30 years. The salary wasn't much, but I made sure Daniel never felt like he lacked anything. I gave up so many things for him: new clothes, vacations, even simple pleasures like going out for dinner. While other teachers enjoyed their weekends, I worked extra hours tutoring students to save money for Daniel's future. When he wanted a bicycle, I saved for months to buy him the best one. When he needed help with school fees, I took on more work without hesitation. As he grew older, my sacrifices grew too. When he got into a private college, I was overjoyed. But the tuition was expensive. I sold my jewelry, the ones my husband had given me, just to pay for his education. I told myself it was worth it because my son would have a bright future. I believed that one day, when he became successful, he would remember everything I did for him. Daniel graduated, got a good job, and soon after, he got married to a woman named Susan. I was happy for him, but something changed. He started calling less, visiting less. At first, I told myself he was just busy with work and his new life. I didn't want to be a burden, so I never asked for anything. I never complained. I only wished to hear his voice more often. Years passed, and my health started to decline. My legs weren't as strong as before, and simple tasks like cooking or cleaning became difficult. I knew I needed help, but I didn't want to trouble Daniel. Still, I hoped he would see that his mother needed him. One day, I fell in the kitchen while trying to make tea. I lay on the floor for hours, waiting for someone to help me. No one came. Finally, I managed to crawl to the phone and call Daniel. When he answered, I felt relief. "Daniel," I said weakly, "I fell down. I think I need some help." There was silence on the other end. Then he sighed. "Mom, I'm really busy. I can't keep running over every time something happens. Maybe it's time we find another solution." I didn't understand what he meant, but soon I found out. A few days later, Daniel came to visit with Susan. I was excited. I thought they had come to take me home with them. But instead, Daniel sat me down and explained that he had found a place for me, a nursing home. "Mom, it's for the best," he said. "They will take care of you properly. It's a good place." I looked at my son, my only child, and my heart ached. After everything I had done for him, he was sending me away like an old, unwanted thing. I wanted to cry, but I held my tears back. The next morning, he packed my bags and drove me to the nursing home. The moment I stepped inside, I knew this was not a good place. The walls were dull, the air smelled musty, and the staff barely looked at me. I turned to Daniel, hoping he would change his mind. But he only patted my shoulder and said, "Take care, Mom. I'll visit soon." And with that, he left. I watched as Daniel walked out of the nursing home without looking back. My heart felt heavy, but I didn't cry. I had cried enough in my life. Instead, I took a deep breath and looked around. The place was nothing like a home. The walls were dull, the windows had thick curtains that blocked most of the sunlight, and the air smelled like old medicine. A nurse, a tired-looking woman with gray hair, led me to my room. It was small, with a simple bed, a wooden chair, and a tiny cupboard for my clothes. There was no warmth, no personal touch, just a space meant for someone waiting for the end of their days. I sat on the bed, my hands resting on my lap. I had spent my whole life taking care of my son, making sure he had everything he needed. And now, when I needed him the most, he had left me here, in this cold and lonely place. The first few days were the hardest. The food was bland, served in plastic trays with no care or love. The nurses were always busy, treating us like tasks to complete rather than people. The other residents were mostly quiet, lost in their own worlds of pain and memories. I kept hoping that Daniel would come back, that he would realize his mistake and take me home. But days passed, then weeks, and there was no sign of him. I tried calling him, but he rarely picked up. And when he did, his answers were always short. "Mom, I'm busy. I'll visit soon," he would say. But he never did. One day, I saw a woman sitting in the corner of the common room. She looked sad, just like me. I gathered my courage and walked up to her. "Hello," I said softly. "My name is Margaret." She looked up and gave me a weak smile. "I'm Helen," she replied. We started talking, and soon I learned that she, too, had been left here by her children. "They say they're busy," she sighed. "But I know the truth. They don't want to deal with me anymore." Her words hit me like a sharp knife. That was exactly how I felt. Days turned into months. I stopped calling Daniel because I knew it didn't matter. He had moved on with his life, and I was no longer a part of it. The visits he had promised never happened. I told myself I would be fine, but the truth was, I felt abandoned. Then one evening, I overheard two nurses talking in the hallway. "Her son hasn't visited in months," one of them whispered. "It's sad," the other replied. "Some children just don't care." They were talking about me. About my son. My chest tightened, and I felt a deep ache in my heart. Was this really how my life had turned out? Had I really spent all those years sacrificing for a child who didn't even care about me anymore? I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking about my life. I had given up everything for Daniel, and now I had nothing. Or so I thought. Because what he didn't know, what no one knew, was that I wasn't just a helpless old woman sitting in a cheap nursing home. I had a secret that would change everything. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. My son Daniel never came back. The few times I tried calling him, he either ignored my calls or answered with a hurried voice. "Mom, I'm busy. I'll visit soon," he always said. But I knew the truth. He had forgotten about me. At first, I waited. I sat near the window every afternoon, hoping to see him walk through the door. But every time the front door opened, it was someone else's family, never mine. I watched as other residents' children brought flowers, blankets, or warm smiles. Some stayed for hours, holding their parents' hands and talking about old memories. But not my son. One day, I asked the nurse if Daniel had called to check on me. She looked at me with pity and shook her head. "No, dear, but maybe he's just busy." Busy. That word again. A word people use when they don't want to tell the truth. As time passed, I started to notice the way people looked at me. The nurses, the other residents, even the staff in the kitchen. They all knew. They knew I had been abandoned. I had become just another old woman left behind by her family, forgotten and unwanted. Then one afternoon, something strange happened. It was a quiet day, and I was sitting in the common room, looking out the window. A young nurse, Sophie, was talking to another staff member near the hallway. They were whispering, but I could still hear parts of their conversation. "She has money?" the staff member asked in shock. Sophie nodded. "I heard she made smart investments, but she never talks about it." I froze. They were talking about me. How did they know? I had spent my life saving and investing in small businesses. I had never told anyone, not even Daniel, how much I had. Over the years, those investments had grown. Now I was worth millions. But I had kept it a secret because I wanted to see who truly cared about me, not for my money, but for me. That night, I lay awake in bed, thinking, if Sophie knew about my money, who else did? And what would happen if Daniel found out? I didn't have to wait long for my answer. A few days later, my phone rang. I picked it up, and for the first time in months, it was Daniel. "Mom, how are you?" His voice was suddenly warm, filled with excitement. It was the voice of the loving son I had missed for so long. I felt my heart tighten. He knew. "I'm fine," I said calmly. "It's been a long time, Daniel." "I know, Mom. I'm so sorry. Work has been crazy, but I miss you. Listen, Susan and I have been talking, and we think it's time for you to come live with us." I almost laughed. The same son who had thrown me into this place now wanted me back. I stayed silent, and he kept talking. "We don't want you to be alone, Mom. You deserve to be with family." Family. The word felt empty coming from him. "Daniel," I said slowly, "why this sudden change of heart?" He hesitated. "Mom, I just realized how much I love you." I closed my eyes. It wasn't love, it was greed. And soon he would learn that I wasn't the same helpless mother he had abandoned. After months of silence, my son Daniel was suddenly calling me every day. His voice was warm, full of love and concern. "Mom, how are you feeling today? Did you eat well? Mom, I miss you so much. I can't believe I let so much time pass without visiting. Mom, you deserve better than that nursing home. I want you to come live with us." At first, I wanted to believe him. I wanted to think that my son had finally realized how much he loved me. But deep down, I knew the truth. The moment he found out about my hidden wealth, his attitude changed. The same son who had ignored me, abandoned me, and treated me like a burden was now acting like the most caring child in the world. I decided to play along. "That's very sweet of you, Daniel," I said one evening over the phone. "But I'm not sure. This place has been my home for a while now." He laughed nervously. "Mom, come on. You shouldn't be in a place like that. Susan and I will make sure you have everything you need. We'll take care of you." His words sounded nice, but I could hear the impatience in his voice. He wasn't calling out of love. He was calling because he wanted something. A few days later, Daniel and Susan arrived at the nursing home. It was the first time they had visited since they left me there. They brought flowers, expensive chocolates, and a warm blanket. "Oh, Mom," Susan said dramatically, holding my hands. "We've missed you so much. This place is terrible. We can't believe we let you stay here for so long." Daniel nodded. "You don't belong here, Mom. We're taking you home." I looked at them carefully. The last time I had begged Daniel to take me home, he had ignored me. Now he was acting like he couldn't stand to see me in this place. I smiled and nodded. "That's very kind of you." Their faces lit up. "So when can we take you home?" Daniel asked eagerly. I pretended to think. "I don't know. I need to settle some things here first." Susan tried to hide her frustration. "Oh, there's nothing to settle, Mom. We'll take care of everything." They were in a hurry. They wanted me out of the nursing home as soon as possible. I knew why. They thought I would change my will in their favor. I looked around at the small room that had been my home for months. It wasn't luxurious, but at least the people here had been honest with me. Unlike my own son. That night, I spoke to Helen, my only friend in the nursing home. I told her about Daniel's sudden change of heart. She sighed. "You already know why he's doing this, Margaret." The question is, what are you going to do about it? I smiled. Oh, Helen, I already have a plan. Because Daniel thought he had fooled me. But he had no idea that I was about to teach him the biggest lesson of his life. I spent the next few days thinking about my son's sudden kindness. It was painfully clear. He wasn't here for me. He was here for my money. If he had truly cared, he wouldn't have left me in this place for months without a single visit or phone call. Now, after learning I was a secret millionaire, he was suddenly the loving son I had always dreamed of. But I wasn't the same helpless mother he had abandoned. I had a plan. The next time Daniel called, I let out a small sigh. Daniel, dear, I've been thinking about it. His voice perked up immediately. Yes, Mom? What have you decided? I think you're right. Maybe it's time for me to leave this place. Oh, Mom, that's wonderful. He sounded excited, almost too excited. I'll come get you tomorrow. You don't need to bring anything. Just pack your essentials. I could hear Susan in the background whispering, "This is perfect." Finally, I smiled to myself. They thought they had won. The next morning, Daniel arrived with Susan. They had dressed nicely, as if trying to show how much they cared. Susan hugged me tightly. Oh, Mom, you'll be so much happier with us. I nodded. I'm sure I will. Daniel carried my bags as if he were a devoted son. You don't have to worry about a thing, Mom. We'll take care of everything from now on. I got into their car and we drove off. As we neared their house, Daniel cleared his throat. Mom, I know you've been alone for a long time, and I just want you to know that we'll always be here for you. Oh, that's very sweet of you, I said. I've actually been thinking a lot about my future lately. Daniel and Susan exchanged a quick glance. I could tell they were waiting for me to bring up my will. I let a few moments pass before I continued, and I've decided something very important. They leaned in, eager to hear what I had to say. I've decided to donate my entire fortune to charity. The car suddenly swerved as Daniel lost control for a second. What? He stammered. Susan's smile disappeared. Mom, you can't be serious. Oh, I am, I said calmly. I realize that there are so many people in the world who truly need help. So I'm giving everything to charity, the nursing home, hospitals, orphanages. Daniel's face turned pale. Mom, wait. You don't have to make such a big decision so quickly. I smiled. Oh, Daniel, I've been thinking about this for a long time. Susan's voice was sharp now. But, Mom, we're your family. Shouldn't your money stay in the family? I turned to them, my expression serious. Family, I said quietly. Where was my family when I was left alone in that nursing home for months? Daniel swallowed hard. Mom, we made a mistake, but we love you. I shook my head. No, Daniel, you love my money. Silence filled the car. For the first time, Daniel had nothing to say. I had given him a chance to prove his love. He had failed. And now he was facing the consequences. The silence in the car was heavy. Daniel kept his hands tight on the steering wheel, his knuckles turning white. Susan looked like she had swallowed something bitter. I stared out the window, watching the houses pass by. For the first time in months, I felt free. I had spent so much time feeling abandoned and hurt, but now I saw things clearly. I had raised a son who cared more about money than his own mother, and that was something I had to accept. Finally, Daniel spoke. His voice was tense. Mom, are you sure about this? I turned to face him. Yes, Daniel. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Susan let out a nervous laugh. But Mom, isn't that a little extreme? I mean, we're your family. You worked so hard for that money. Don't you want to see it help your own blood? I took a deep breath. That's exactly why I made this decision. Daniel clenched his jaw. Mom, you don't understand. If you give everything away, what will be left for us? I raised an eyebrow. You have your jobs, your house, your life. You'll be just fine. Susan shook her head, her voice growing desperate. Mom, you're making a mistake. A huge mistake. You're old. Maybe you're not thinking clearly. I let out a small laugh. Oh, I'm thinking more clearly than ever. Daniel pulled into their driveway and turned off the car. He turned to me, his eyes cold now. So that's it, he asked. You're just throwing away everything. After everything I've done for you. I looked at him carefully. Everything you've done for me. I repeated softly. Daniel, what exactly have you done for me? His face turned red. He opened his mouth but didn't have an answer. I continued, let me remind you, my dear son. You abandoned me in a nursing home. You ignored my calls. You left me alone for months, pretending I didn't exist. And now that you know I have money, you suddenly want me back. Daniel's hands curled into fists. Mom, that's not fair. Susan crossed her arms. We were just trying to do what was best for you. I gave her a sad smile. No, Susan, you were doing what was best for yourselves. I reached for the car door handle. Thank you for the ride, I said, but I won't be staying. Daniel's eyes widened. What? I'm going back to the nursing home. That's my home now. At least the people there are honest. Susan gasped. You can't be serious. I nodded. Oh, I am. I opened the car door and stepped out. The cold air felt fresh against my skin. For a brief moment, I thought Daniel might run after me, beg me to stay. But he didn't. Instead, he sat there in silence, his hands gripping the steering wheel, his face filled with frustration. He had lost. And I, for the first time in a long time, had won. I didn't look back as I walked away from the car. I expected Daniel to call out, to stop me, to say something that would make me change my mind. But he didn't. Susan sat in the passenger seat, staring at me with disbelief. Her mouth opened slightly, as if she wanted to say something. But then she just turned to Daniel, waiting for him to do something. But he just sat there, gripping the steering wheel tightly, his knuckles white with frustration. I smiled to myself. They weren't sad to see me go. They were angry that they had lost the chance to take my money. As I walked toward the nursing home, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. I had spent so many nights feeling abandoned, questioning my worth, wondering if I had done something wrong as a mother. But now I understood. It wasn't my fault. I had given Daniel everything. I had raised him with love, care, and sacrifices. But greed had poisoned his heart, and that was something I could not fix. And I didn't need to. The moment I stepped through the doors of the nursing home, the familiar scent of old books and warm tea greeted me. It wasn't a mansion, it wasn't luxurious, but at least it was honest. Helen, my closest friend, sat in her usual spot by the window. She looked up, surprised. Margaret, what are you doing back? I sighed and sat down beside her. Well, let's just say my son didn't want me. He wanted my money. Helen shook her head. I'm sorry, dear. I smiled softly. Don't be. I needed to see the truth for myself. She placed a gentle hand on mine. So what now? I took a deep breath. Now I live my life the way I want to. I give to the people who truly deserve it. And I don't waste another second hoping my son will change. Helen nodded. That's a good choice, Margaret. You deserve better. At that moment, a young nurse walked in with a warm cup of tea. She smiled kindly as she set it down in front of me. "I was hoping you'd come back," she said. I looked up at her, surprised. "You were?" She nodded. "You're one of the kindest residents here. We missed you." I felt a lump in my throat. In this small, simple place, I was valued. Not because of my money. Not because of what I could give. But because I was just me. I sipped my tea, letting the warmth spread through my chest. Outside, the sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the trees. It was a beautiful sight, one I had never truly appreciated before. For so long, I had felt abandoned, forgotten. But now, I realized something important. I wasn't alone. I had real friends. I had a life to live. And I still had so much love to give to those who truly deserved it. And as for Daniel, well, he had made his choice. And so had I. The days passed peacefully at the nursing home. I no longer waited by the window, hoping for a visit from Daniel. I no longer checked my phone, expecting a call that never came. I had made my decision, and I had no regrets. One morning, as I was having breakfast with Helen, a staff member approached me with a curious expression. "Margaret, there's someone at the front desk asking to see you." Helen raised an eyebrow. "Do you think it's Daniel?" I sighed. "Probably. Let's see what he wants this time." I made my way to the entrance, and sure enough, there he was. Daniel stood near the front desk, shifting nervously from foot to foot. His face looked tired, and his usual confidence was gone. I folded my arms. "Daniel." He turned quickly, his eyes searching my face. "Mom, I just wanted to talk." I nodded. "Go ahead." He hesitated. "Can we talk in private?" I shook my head. "No, Daniel. Anything you have to say, you can say right here." His jaw tightened, but he nodded. "Mom, I messed up." I raised an eyebrow. "Oh." He sighed and rubbed his face. I don't know what came over me. I was selfish. I let money blind me. I forgot what really mattered. I remained silent, watching him carefully. Was this real regret, or just another trick? "I miss you, Mom," he continued. "Not because of your money. I miss you. I want to fix things." I studied his face, searching for the truth. "Daniel, let me ask you something," I said softly. "If you never found out about my wealth, would you have come back for me?" He opened his mouth, but no words came out. His silence was all the answer I needed. I nodded. That's what I thought. Tears filled his eyes. "Mom, please. I know I was wrong. I don't want to lose you." I sighed. "Daniel, I will always love you. But love is not enough. Love must come with respect, with care, with kindness." He looked down, ashamed. I reached out and placed a gentle hand on his. "I forgive you, my son, but I can't go back to the way things were." He swallowed hard. "So what now?" I smiled softly. "Now I live my life, and you live yours. If one day you truly understand what it means to love someone beyond money, maybe we can rebuild. But until then, I need to take care of myself." A tear slipped down his cheek. "I understand." I squeezed his hand one last time before pulling away. "Goodbye, Daniel." And with that, I turned and walked back inside, leaving my past behind. As I entered the common room, Helen looked up with a knowing smile. "Well?" I sat down beside her, taking a deep breath. I let him go. She nodded. "That must have been hard." I smiled. It was. But for the first time in a long time, I feel free. I looked around at the people who had become my real family. The kind nurses, the friends who laughed with me, the staff who treated me with kindness. I wasn't alone. I wasn't abandoned. I was exactly where I was meant to be. And as I sipped my warm tea, I knew this was the start of a beautiful new chapter.